Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And you may have noticed that Friday was a repeat. It's not something that I normally do. However, I had something going on Friday afternoon, and I decided that because I still wanted to get a show out, and with episode 450 coming up fairly close, I'm going to sporadically, as in probably only one or two more times before episode 450, just due to scheduling conflicts, if you will, I'm going to a couple more times do repeats. This is not a repeat. This is not a repeat. This is actually happening right now, or actually, as I'm recording it, it's happening now. When you're listening to it, it's going to be in the future. So, welcome from the past to the future, or something along those lines. So, I've got a fairly interesting article to cover today, and it's from a source that I don't normally wind up using for this particular show. The source is the Foundation for Economic Education, but don't worry, it still fits within the realm of what we're doing here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, which is, sort of my therapy and helping you become a better version of you while I become a better version of me. And we all basically just, become better people, right? So the story, actually, again, from FEE, the Foundation for Economic Education, from Mr. Jeffrey Tucker, the best-dressed anarchist in the world, asterisk that I'm aware of. Headline, 5 bad things and 5 good things about life. As life proceeds, you collect ever more interesting observations about how things work. Things you cannot fathom in youth, but which you gradually come to realize later in life. People don't tell you these things when you're young. He says, what I'm going to tell you is supposed to remain proprietary information of people of middle age. But I don't believe in proprietary information. Let's just lay it all out. And, I'm glad that Mr. Tucker does not believe in proprietary information, because I, too, don't really, I believe that it exists, right? So that's the thing about the word believe, right? The word believe can mean many things. Like, do you believe in the Easter Bunny? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in gravity? Do you believe in electoral politics? Well, believe could mean, do you recognize and acknowledge that fill-in-the-blank thing exists? Or believe could mean, do you have faith in? Do you think that this is something that should exist? So, when I say I don't believe in proprietary information, what I'm saying is I don't think that it's something that necessarily should exist. Now, that's not to say that, Windows, for instance, and I'm not talking about the things that, you have inside a screen door or a glass door, not that kind of Windows. The operating system, Windows. If Microsoft wants to create something with proprietary whatnot, yeah, go ahead. that's not how I necessarily do things. But that's not to say that, every aspect of my life I'm putting out on the internet. Here's all of the passwords to my thing, because, I understand that privacy is still a thing. But I also believe that copying is not theft. As the catchy little jingle from Nina Paley goes, copying is not theft. If I steal your bicycle, you have to take the bus. But if I just copy it, there's one for each of us. And, with 3D printers now, it's so much easier to wind up, copying and replicating things to where, I'm not going to say that we live in a post-scarcity society, but we're definitely getting there to where, again, it is fairly easy to replicate things. That said, let me delve into the 5 bad things and 5 good things about life that, hint, you probably were not told about as a child, and you probably weren't actually told about as an adult, but you've had to realize on your own. Number 1, no one is ever wrong. Can you guess, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Yeah, this is one of the 5 bad things. People will defend an opinion or an action until the end, even if every bit of logic and evidence runs contrary. Sincere apologies and genuine admissions of error and wrongdoing are the rarest thing in the world. Meanwhile, there is no reward for being right. On the contrary, people will resent you and try to take you down, which leads to point number 2. Excellence makes you a target of envy and can often harm your prospects for success. Now, we've talked a lot about definitions of success. I'm not going to get into that, but I will continue with point number 2 here under 5 bad things. Meritocracy exists and even prevails, but it is realized through your own initiative, and it is never just granted freely by some individual or institution. No one is consistently or unrelentingly your champion, not even your mom, as much as she may love you. All progress comes about because you alone push the attempts of everyone around you to stop it. Stay tuned. There is more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com. The Doublespeak Dictionary by Leslie Starr O'Hara satirizes the marked difference between the ideal of we the people and the reality of we the elite, while offering an insightful glimpse into the clockworks of the totalitarian mind. Ever irreverent but never irrelevant, the Doublespeak Dictionary serves as a subversive and humorous but timely reminder that the emperor has no clothes. The Doublespeak Dictionary is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, going over 5 good things and 5 bad things that you probably weren't told about life, but you may have, sort of learned these lessons on your own. I'll get back into that in just a moment, but first I want to make sure that I tell you about a website that you definitely need to bookmark if you use Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. Right? You do want to keep your money in the free market and in the free economy. Right. Well, you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal. Spend-A-Bit is the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products, over 3 million now. Yes, that's right. 3 million plus products that you can buy with Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. Keep your money in the free economy. Spend-A-Bit. Use my affiliate link, spendabit.fppradio.com. And if you're a Bitcoin accepting merchant like I am, ask about their merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.fppradio.com. That's spendabit.fppradio.com. Going over 5 bad things and 5 good things about life that you probably were not told growing up, and you may or may not have learned these lessons yet in life. But as Jeffrey Tucker, the author of this article, says, while this is supposed to be proprietary information for people of middle age, I don't believe in proprietary information, so here it is. Number 1 on the list of bad things: no one is ever wrong, which leads to number 2. Excellence makes you a target of envy and can often harm your prospects for success. Number 3, average people will sacrifice every principle and every truth for the sake of security. And what's the saying from Ben Franklin, or it's often attributed to Ben Franklin? He who will give up liberty for security deserves neither, and will have neither, something along those lines. Well, average people, they'll sacrifice stuff for the sake of security. This is because people, with very few exceptions, fear the uncertainty of an open and unknown future more than the seeming security of a known status quo. They will give up every right and every bit of their soul for the promise of security, even to the point of obeying wicked despots in every sphere of life. And, you really just need to look at some of the various experiments that have been done to basically prove that, yes, people will do horrible things in the name of just following orders. The not the Ash experiment, the Milgram experiment is one example. The Stanford prison experiment is another example. There have been others as well. Continuing on now, if you ever wonder why people around you are behaving strangely or believing and doing seemingly irrational things, you can find the answer by asking the question, what's in it for them? It's remarkable the extent to which people craft their own opinions and decisions around their own desires and interests, regardless of consideration of truth, evidence, or logic. One thing that I saw recently was a post, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the post in front of me. Somebody was saying that, oh yeah, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, I believe in human liberty, blah, 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 but I voted for Donald Trump because Gary Johnson just wasn't libertarian enough. Wait a second, what? Like, I didn't vote for Gary Johnson because Gary Johnson's not libertarian enough, but I didn't vote for somebody that is the complete opposite. I did not vote for a tyrant. Who did I vote for, you might be asking? I voted for Darryl W. Perry. Yeah, that's right, me. Because I was a presidential candidate. Yes, I was. If you're not aware, I did seek the Libertarian Party nomination against Mr. Johnson, and several other people wound up finishing 4th in both the first and second round of voting at the Libertarian Convention that happened not quite 1 year ago. And I had no intention after that convention of getting involved in national politics, and then I forget exactly what horrible thing, but there were a couple horrible things with the campaign that happened in August and September, and I decided to jump back in and ran a limited write-in campaign, and yes, I wound up writing myself in, and unfortunately, most of the write-in votes that I received were never counted. But one thing that I find to be very humorous is the people that say that it is my fault. Yes, I, as a limited write-in candidate, it was my fault that Gary Johnson did not receive 5% of the vote, while those same people say that no one supported my campaign at all. Well, which is it? Is it nobody supported me, or did I somehow manage to receive approximately 2% of the vote as a write-in candidate with no support? Yeah, it's one of those, like people will say and do the complete opposite. They do irrational things. Number 5 on the bad things about life: no one can keep a secret. Asterisks. And I can keep secrets for 2 reasons. 1, I'm not a blabbermouth, and 2, I have this horrible short-term memory. So I often forget things that people have told me, which, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Real quick, they say the more interesting the information, the more a person experiences a personal reward for passing it on. If you ever ask someone, can you keep a secret, you should automatically know that the answer is no, unless the information is boring and the person forgets it. Stay tuned. There's more.
Are you sick of government lackeys who say you didn't build that? Are you tired of elitists who think you need a government permission slip for everything? Everything you do is an A to B conversation, and the government should see their way out of it. Create true free markets by adopting the BIPCOT No Government License. The BIPCOT No Gov license allows use or modification of any product, service, or software except by governments or government agents. Go to BIPCOT.org. That's Bravo, India, Papa, Charlie, Oscar, Tango.org.
In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Of the book, Dr. Brian Sovereign says, sometimes it's funny, and sometimes I think it's crazy, but it's always authentic. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com.
Hi, this is Davi Barker from ShinyBadges.com, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And we just went over 5 bad things about life. Now, let's go over some of the good things about life. And again, these are things that you probably were not taught growing up. Jeffrey Tucker, the author of the article, says that this is supposed to be proprietary information for people in the middle age, but he doesn't believe in proprietary information. So he's sharing it, and, well, I believe that copying is not theft, so I'm sharing it as well. And as always, the link will be in the show notes. You can read the full link at your leisure without my interruption. Of the 5 good things, number 1, there are human miracles all around you if you only take the time to have a mind to notice. Human action is not scripted. Most people do what they want to do most of the time, and yet it somehow all works together. People acting in their own personal self-interest leads, despite their intentions, to a lovely and orderly and even beautiful community whole. If you doubt it, look at the human traffic in a mall or an airport or cars on a busy highway. The question is not why are there accidents. The real question is why are massive pileups not the norm. Number 2. And I could go in detail a little bit further with my own thoughts on number one, but I will save my thoughts for later in the show. Number two, humans are survivors. Everyone faces seeming disasters in life, death in the family, divorce, job terminations, houses burning down, etc. It's hard to see beyond them, and yet time marches forward. The past becomes data, and the future is open. We adapt, we learn, we discover a new hope despite all odds. The truth is that you are in charge of your own emotions, decisions, and your own life. You can break free of a tendency to acquiesce to fatalism, but it takes courage, risk-taking, and a conscious act of defying what seems to be written. And, this sort of fits in quite nicely with number one, and I will pause here to give some of my thoughts and insights to where, yes, some people might think, oh, well, it just seems like everything is sort of, scripted for life. Or if you tell people about, life could exist without government, but who would fill in the blank? Well, who does that now? Or, okay, there's, some group calling itself government that does that now, but they do an absolutely horrible job. Don't you think that people working together could do this better? Yeah, but what about, when you go to the grocery store, do you point a gun in the face of the shop owner and tell him to do business with you? No. The vast majority, and I am convinced that it's like 99.999% of all human interactions are voluntary. There's no act of coercion when you're walking down the sidewalk and you wave at your neighbor. There's no acts of coercion when you walk into Subway and you order your sandwich. There's no acts of coercion when you walk into the grocery store and you buy groceries. Think of all the other people that, you just walk past in the grocery store aisle. You don't just randomly start assaulting people. That's why I say that 99.999% of all human interaction is voluntary and not based on aggression. But yet, for some people, it's so difficult to fathom existing without this entity known as government that exists because of aggression. That's what governments do. They initiate force. Number 3 on the list, at some point in your life, and these are the good things, so bear with me here. At some point in your life, your heart will be broken through some devastating betrayal, and you will be tempted by the idea that love is not real, that it's a made-up delusion. This is false. Love comes in many forms and is authentic, but always aspirational. A belief in the possibility that our own lives can ascend beyond their purely material properties and touch something spiritual. You see love in trusting friendships, entrepreneurial drive, romance, and every act of faith that reaches for the evidence of the unseen. You can embrace it or not, but it is always there. Number 4 on the list of 5 good things about life that you probably were not told growing up. In childhood, we suppose that everyone around us was well-intentioned, but later discovered otherwise in adulthood. You can wallow in this or see beyond it. Most people, despite all foibles and failings, have a heart. And this isn't just saying, there's a, beating muscle that causes blood to circulate. No. Yes, every human being has, that physical organ called a heart, but that, kindness is somewhere deep inside everyone. Some people, it's, a little closer to the surface. What's the saying about, wearing your heart on the sleeve? That just means, a little closer to the surface. Other people, sort of bury it down deep, and you got to really, dig in there to get it. But stay tuned. We'll delve into it here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Coinbase has more than 1 million consumer wallets and is trusted by over 25,000 merchants, including Overstock.com, Khan Academy, Reddit, and of course, FPP. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com, going over 5 good things and 5 bad things about life. Already went through the 5 bad, now we're going through the 5 good. Number 1 of the good things, there are human miracles all around you. You just have to notice. Number 2, humans are survivors. Number 3, love is real. And that's a very quick summation of the paragraph there. Number 4, let me begin again at the beginning of this paragraph. In childhood, we supposed that everyone around us was well-intentioned, but later we discovered otherwise. In adulthood, you can wallow in it or you can see beyond it. Most people, despite all foibles and failings, have a heart. Under the right conditions, most people are capable of being generous, empathetic, cooperative, and helpful. It's a huge mistake to overlook this fact of life. You can surround yourself by such people, be grateful for them, and let them inspire you. Now, before I get into number 5, I just want to mention something very briefly. An acquaintance of mine passed away recently, and I saw a couple days later someone who I believe it was his daughter had set up a GoFundMe to help cover the cost of transporting him back to his hometown and then having a memorial service. And in less than 24 hours, the amount of money that was being sought wound up being raised. And that's just something that, it sort of restores faith in humanity when you see something like this. Of, here's this guy that dedicated his life to a freer, more peaceful society, one based on this, consensual human interaction. And when his family was in need, people stepped up. And, that's just something that, yes, it does show that deep down everybody has that heart. And they will, under those circumstances, be generous, cooperative, helpful, empathetic, etc. Number 5 on the list. Powerful institutions can be scary and ominous, but look more closely and no power can ultimately rule the world. There's more here. Link will be in the show notes. And don't forget, every Friday, I answer your questions. Send those over, ama@fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.